This was an actual Easter Sunday, and I went outside. This is actually outside the house, and we were doing an Easter egg hunt. And I thought, oh, there's a nice spot. And I put the Easter egg in there, and I looked at it. Oh, this is great. So I went in and grabbed my camera. And for this particular photograph, I used a Nikon with a macro lens. And that was, I took 3 or 4 different images, and this was the best of that particular moment. The remarkable moment for this was when things burned, and in 1970. And while I got there the morning after, the night fire had just about done the building in, and I noticed this beauty and all this destruction of this ice casserole. And the whole window was just, so nice, and what a great composition. And it's always been one of my favorites that I took from 1970.
When you first look at it, you're not sure what it is. At least I wasn't sure. And you come up to it, and it reminds me of kind of, like the ruins of like a French countryside or something. It's just something that's been forgotten, out of time, out of place. And so that was really striking to me. But then you find out the story behind it, how it's after the fire at things. And you just like, all of a sudden you realize that there's this huge sense of sorrow and loss.
Definitely. It's almost kind of like frozen tears. Oh. My name is Tony Curran, and I'm originally from Chicago, and I came to Iowa City in '88, and I was studying music, and that's where I first developed a love and an interest for art. Spaceship Resting, he really got it there. I mean, it's not a hunk of metal. It actually has a personality. The nose actually looks like a nose. You can actually, it depicts a face.
This is, has always been one of my favorites, and I tried to present it a little bit differently. This is a photograph that was taken with a long lens to compress a spillway that was over in Rock Island, Illinois area. And the water is coming down the spillway, and it just a pool of light and colors from the sky and the sun. What I decided to do, rather than just a straight, is make it seem like it was coming out from behind this wall and coming down this way. I came to the University of Iowa to specialize in advertising and marketing. And after 2 years, I happened to take an art course. And when I did so, it kind of opened up all new things to me. And one of the things that I found was art design, and so I became an industrial designer, educated as an industrial designer, and part of that process was we were putting on seminars, and we photographed people on the street, or we had to discuss some major problem of what of what Iowa City, where was the best entrance to Iowa City, and always come in from the north was the determination at that point. In any case, I would do photographs, as part of this seminar and display them. And I, in addition, was chosen to do all the photography for Mercy's expansion fundraising project, when Mercy was just a small building. And I did great photographs there of a variety of things. And I finished up and worked for a couple years as a designer, and then I got into television in the Quad Cities at TV8 in Moline. And one of the things that I did film documentaries, I did advertising, I did news photography, I did promotion. And then I came to this school, the University of Iowa, for University News Service, and to do film shorts and to do brochures and what have you. And after doing that for 5 years, I started my own business and started working part-time at the hospital, where I spent the remaining until I retired after 25 years at the University of Iowa hospitals and running my Paris Concepts. So now I said, hey, I'm going to be doing some more fine art photography, and let's put a show together and, just let people know, hey, this is, the possibilities. And I'm going to specialize in doing on-location portraits of people in their homes or special places. And so that they'll have a legacy and heirloom, they can pass on and share with it. So that is, I'm still looking at the possibilities. Digital photography and Photoshop, still kind of learning about that. This woman taught classic Hindu dancing right here in Iowa City. She was here, her husband was with the business school. Her name is Madhu. Her 3-year-old daughter has been taking dance since 1.5. And I, at that time, was trying to do life-size images. And so this is actually a studio shot where I just used a black backdrop, and the light, I got a color gel so that it would kind of blend with that, but set things off. And using a Hasselblad, I was able to get a square negative. And using a special setting to get it very sharp, because they knew that it was from this size, approximately, that it was going to come to this size. And I had to drive twice to Des Moines to get a commercial printer. And as a consequence, one of the things that they cut the fingers off when they printed it, because they project it. And I arrived there to pick it up, and I thought, what's the deal? So, and it was all wrapped up, and I didn't know that until I got back to Iowa City. So I called them and said, hey, we need to include the hand, because that was the whole essence of this photograph. And so it was reprinted, and I had to take it. And because my car at that time was small, I had to strap it on top so that it wouldn't fly away. But in any case, they enjoyed it. She has, and her family have moved to Texas, and so they're down in Texas right now. And she had a whole dance group here, and it's part of the tradition that children are taught this classic dance. And so the community in this area had a lot of dancers, and I photographed several children in their costumes. This was in southern Iowa, and I don't recall specifically, but I saw the cattle in the snow, and I just caught my attention again with a long lens to help just kind of compress the various layers that show up. This particular photo, I was doing some work on the electron microscope, and this is actually the antenna of a butterfly at 20,000 magnification. And when I saw this shot, it reminded me of the Everglades. And I thought, wow, you know, maybe there is a connection between everything. And I did seeds and eyes and so forth. When you do these items, you have to put them in a chamber and you coat them with gold, so they have reflective power to them. And this, you know, basically is something about that small, and just remarkable the detail that's in something like that. When I put this together, I hung things with wires, and I wanted to give it a sense of immediacy, so that this goes back to hanging the print in the lab, and a sense of you've just, you know, revealed it, and there it is drying out for your inspection. And so the emphasis is to be put on the image rather than the framing and the presentation. And I thought, at first I was going to hang a wire, and no, you know, get a little line, a little rope that would help. The colors would, you know, work, be complementary with everything else, and give a sense of, you know, hey, it just came off out of the printer.
That's a wonderful shot.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's near Ashland, Oregon, I believe. My family, my mother and father, were from Ashland, Oregon, and of course I think it's wonderful. It doesn't get like Iowa. It doesn't have the snow. It has it in the mountains, but it doesn't have it in the town.
And they have a Shakespeare festival there.
Oh, that was my playground as a child. I would get up there and I'd play on the stage and run around, and so I enjoyed that.
Was this serendipitous, or did you?
Actually, these were taken at different times. I went through a phase where carousels were of high interest. I actually was considering doing a carousel horse, you know, carving one, yes. But, you know, I got thinking better about that. But this is at the Indianola Balloon Festival, national championships, as it were, and I don't recall which year, but it would have been in the 80s. And that's when I became a balloon pilot. You know, I studied for that. And this is actually in Disney World, and of all the horses on the carousel, this was the most beautiful of them all.
And then when you saw the two photos.
As I was putting them together right here today,
Oh, is that right?
oh, hey, these would work, you know.
Yeah.
Because as I put things together, okay, what works, what, you know, is what good grouping will emphasize each other and, you know, provide an additional meaning to the